Hello everyone, this is Erik, the Asian movie enthusiast, and this is my review of Rules of Dating, a Korean romance from 2005. Lee Yoo-rim is a high school English teacher. He's cute, clever, and shameless. Choi Hong is a student teacher, even though she is 1 year older than him. She's cynical and always plays hard to get when a man shows interest in her. While going out for drinks one day, Yoo-rim suddenly tells Hong that he wants to sleep with her. She's hardly impressed by his advances, and so begins a battle of will and wits, both between each other and within themselves. What is the point of this strange relationship, and what is the object of their desire? Now, Rules of Dating is essentially about a teacher who relentlessly attempts to sleep with his colleague. So you might think to yourself, well, in general, it's basically how romance films work, right? The man pursues the woman, there's a bit of back and forth, etc. And you would be correct in making that point. However, this movie distinguishes itself by the methods in which he pursues the woman. This guy is extremely blunt and unprofessional in his strategies that it's frequently embarrassing watching him in action. He's extremely pushy, and most of his behavior would get him fired immediately, at least in 2022. So a lot of the interaction here is excessively inappropriate, especially in a business setting. During the opening scene, you're going to be shaking your head in disbelief. So you're going to know what's up with this movie very early on. However, that's one of the things that makes Rules of Dating kind of an interesting watch. The content is inappropriate and gutsy, but that makes it more memorable than your everyday romance flick. I mean, their relationship is unconventional in cinematic terms, but it's refreshing to see something different, and this film's pretty different. Also, the woman has a few tricks up her sleeve, because initially you're thinking that this girl's just a pushover, she's enduring all of this inappropriate behavior, but it's not quite that simple. They give her enough independence over her own actions that you begin to wonder, after a while, who is really in control over this, odd relationship that develops. And she makes some psychological power plays against this guy at some points, which kind of spices things up even more. So that's essentially the core of their movie here. It's more of a character interaction film instead of a plot-driven one. But there are some plot developments that emerge later on. For the most part, there are lots of discussions about romance, relationships, and a lot of these discussions are supplemented with food and soju consumption, which is very frequent and common in Korean cinema. I think both leads have good chemistry together. You'll probably recognize Park Hae-il, who was in some very popular movies like The Host and War of the Arrows. And he was most recently in the Park Chan-wook movie Decision to Leave, which I have not yet seen. You'll immediately recognize Kang Hae-jung, who starred in Old Boy and Welcome to Dongmak-gol. So, we have two good leads. I think it was kind of important to have the acting at a high level in this movie, because given the dodginess of the content, you need actors to be able to deliver this type of stuff, and they do. It's a movie that I think will rub some people the wrong way. If some viewers walked away from this and they were irritated by it over how the characters behave themselves in such inappropriate ways, I could totally understand that perspective of this film. There is also some sexual content as well, as you might expect. And I think the ending some people might criticize because it's a little bit odd, but I think you could interpret it in a way that makes sense from a character motivation standpoint. If you pay attention to kind of the stuff that happens near the end, I think it does kind of make sense. So this movie is again, it's kind of a riskier recommendation. It's almost hard to sell it to people in terms of why they would want to watch it. But it's one of those Korean movies that's a little bit spicy. If you're in the mood for for that sort of thing, what I've described, and I say check it out and let me know what you think. If you want something that's a little bit inappropriate in terms of character actions and motivations and that, I'd be very interested in hearing people's opinions on this one. It's not a particularly well-known Korean film, but if you've seen it, let me know what you think in the comments section below. I get a feeling it would be pretty divisive. It's currently available on DVD, both the Thai and Korean versions. I think you could still find on Amazon US. And as always, we'll see you next time.